In a city where millions chase success, one man had already won the game. But deep inside, Adrian Brooks was fighting a battle no one could see. To the world, Adrian Brooks was unstoppable, a self made millionaire, the face of success. But every night, the silence inside his home reminded him of everything money could never buy. Then one rainy evening, a single accident inside a quiet bookstore changed the direction of his life forever. As their eyes met, time seemed to stop. The noise of New York disappeared. For the first time in years, Adrian felt something he thought he'd lost forever: hope. She smiled, and in that single moment, Adrian forgot every business meeting, every million-dollar deal, and every lonely night that had haunted him. Her name was Emma Carter, a young writer chasing dreams in the city that never sleeps. She had no idea that this stranger standing before her would become the greatest chapter of her life. Adrian bent down and picked up the last book from the floor. As he handed it back, their fingers touched for just a second. It was such a small moment, yet something inside him quietly changed. Emma smiled softly before thanking him. It was an ordinary smile, but to Adrian, it felt like the first sunrise after years of endless nights. She turned around and walked into the rainy streets of New York. Adrian watched her disappear without even knowing her last name. But somehow, he knew this wasn't the end of their story. The next morning, Adrian couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious woman from the bookstore. For the first time in years, his heart was louder than his busy schedule. He tried to focus on work, but every document, every meeting, and every conversation reminded him of the stranger with the unforgettable smile. What Adrian didn't know was that Emma was thinking about him too. Somewhere in the same city, two strangers were remembering the same unforgettable moment. 3 days passed. Adrian returned to the same bookstore every evening, ordering the same black coffee, hoping fate would give him one more chance. But Emma never came. The empty chair across from him became a painful reminder that some people enter your life only to disappear without a trace. Just as Adrian was about to give up, the cafe door slowly opened. He looked up, and his heart skipped a beat. She wasn't alone. Standing beside Emma was a little girl, no older than 7, holding her hand tightly. In that instant, Adrian felt his heart sink. Was she married? Was that her daughter? 1,000 questions raced through Adrian's mind, but he didn't have the courage to ask a single one. Then the little girl suddenly let go of Emma's hand, smiled at Adrian, and walked straight toward him. The little girl stopped right in front of Adrian, looked into his eyes, and asked with an innocent smile, "Excuse me, are you the nice man who helped my aunt with her books?" Adrian let out a quiet laugh. In that single moment, every fear disappeared. Emma wasn't married, and the little girl wasn't her daughter. She was her niece. Emma walked over, blushing with embarrassment. "I'm sorry," she said. "My niece remembers everyone who's kind to her." Adrian smiled. "I'm glad she remembered me." For the first time, they sat together. What started as a simple cup of coffee slowly turned into hours of effortless conversation, as if they had known each other their entire lives. Emma spoke about her dream of becoming a best-selling author. Adrian listened carefully, not because he had to, but because every word she spoke made him admire her even more. As the evening came to an end, Adrian gathered his courage and asked, "Emma, would you like to have dinner with me this Saturday?" She looked into his eyes and smiled. Emma lowered her eyes for a moment, then looked back at Adrian with a gentle smile. "I'd love to," she whispered. In that instant, the entire world seemed to fade away. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. Adrian spent the entire week preparing for what felt like the most important evening of his life. Across the city, Emma stood in front of her bedroom mirror, wondering why her heart was racing for a man she had only met a few days ago. As the sun disappeared behind the Manhattan skyline, Adrian arrived at the restaurant 30 minutes early. He wasn't afraid of waiting. He was afraid of losing the woman who had quietly become the center of his thoughts. Then, a yellow taxi stopped at the entrance. The door slowly opened, and Adrian forgot how to breathe. Emma looked breathtaking. As their eyes met beneath the sparkling city lights, neither of them realized that this magical night would soon change their lives forever. The dinner was perfect. They laughed, shared stories from their childhood, and discovered that sometimes two completely different lives can fit together like missing pieces of the same puzzle. Hours passed without either of them noticing. For the first time in years, Adrian wasn't thinking about business, money, or success. He was simply enjoying the moment. As they left the restaurant, the streets were quiet. A gentle breeze swept through the city, and without thinking, Adrian reached for Emma's hand. Emma looked down at their hands, then smiled without saying a word. Sometimes, silence speaks louder than 1,000 promises. They crossed the famous Brooklyn Bridge together, surrounded by the sparkling lights of New York. It felt as if the entire city was celebrating the beginning of something extraordinary. But far away, inside a dark luxury office overlooking the city, someone was watching Adrian's every move. And that person had no intention of letting this love story have a happy ending. The next morning, Adrian's phone rang before sunrise. One call, one sentence, and the perfect night instantly turned into a nightmare. It was his assistant, Mr. Brooks. Someone is trying to take over the company. The board meeting has been moved to this morning. Adrian had spent years building his empire. Now someone powerful wanted to destroy everything, and they were closer than he ever imagined. As Adrian stepped into the boardroom, every conversation stopped. The silence wasn't respect, it was the calm before a storm. Then the chairman slid a confidential file across the table. "Read page 7, he said. Adrian opened it, and the color drained from his face. Someone had secretly sold company secrets to a competitor, and every piece of evidence pointed directly at Adrian. He had just become the prime suspect in a betrayal he never committed. Within minutes, the news spread across New York. Headlines called Adrian Brooks a fraud. Overnight, the man everyone admired became the man everyone doubted. His investors disappeared. Business partners refused to answer his calls. Even the people who once praised him now acted as if they had never known him. But there was one person who never believed the lies. Emma looked into Adrian's eyes and said the words he needed most. "I believe you." Adrian looked at Emma in disbelief. Everyone else had walked away, but she stayed. In that moment, he realized that true love isn't measured by the days you share, it's revealed in the storms you survive together. That same evening, Emma made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. She opened her laptop and began searching for the truth behind the conspiracy. Hidden deep inside a forgotten folder, Emma found a name. A name that Adrian never expected to see. The person behind the betrayal wasn't a stranger. It was someone he trusted like family. The name on the screen was Daniel Brooks, Adrian's older brother. The man who had stood beside him for years was the one secretly tearing everything apart. Emma's hands trembled as she picked up her phone. She had to tell Adrian immediately, but before she could press call, an unknown number appeared on her screen. She answered cautiously. A calm voice whispered, "Stop looking for the truth. or you'll be the next one to disappear. The call ended. Emma stood frozen. Before she could react, every light in her apartment suddenly went out. Her heart pounded as slow footsteps echoed from the hallway outside her apartment. Someone was standing at her front door. A soft knock broke the silence. Three slow taps, then a voice whispered from the other side. Emma, open the door. We need to talk. Emma slowly stepped closer, but something didn't feel right. She looked through the peephole and her heart nearly stopped. Standing outside wasn't a stranger. It was Daniel Brooks, Adrian's own brother, and he was smiling. Emma took one step back and locked the door again. At that exact moment, her phone vibrated. It was Adrian, but he wasn't calling to say hello. He was calling to warn her. Emma answered immediately. Adrian's voice was shaking. Emma, don't open that door. Daniel isn't alone. Before Adrian could say another word, the apartment lights flickered back on. The hallway outside became silent. Then, the doorknob slowly began to turn. Emma held her breath. The lock clicked, the door slowly opened, and the person standing there changed everything. It wasn't Daniel. Standing in the doorway was an FBI agent holding up a badge. Emma Carter? He asked. Your life is in immediate danger. You need to come with us. Right now. Emma didn't hesitate. She grabbed her laptop, the confidential files, and followed the agents into an unmarked black SUV waiting outside. Across the city, Adrian received a single encrypted message from the FBI. 6 chilling words appeared on his screen. Trust no one. Not even family. As Adrian raced through the empty streets of Manhattan, he had no idea that someone inside the FBI had already betrayed them. The enemy wasn't just watching, they were leading the investigation. Inside the FBI safe house, Emma finally felt safe until she noticed something that made her blood run cold. One of the agents was secretly texting Daniel Brooks. Emma realized they had walked straight into a trap. She had only seconds to escape before the people sent to protect her became the people trying to silence her forever. Emma sprinted through the emergency exit and disappeared into the freezing New York night. Behind her, sirens echoed through the streets, but she no longer knew who she could trust. Adrian spotted Emma from across the street. Without thinking, he jumped out of his SUV and ran toward her as black SUVs suddenly surrounded the entire block. A masked man stepped out of the lead SUV, pointed directly at Adrian, and shouted, "This ends tonight." Without warning, the masked man pulled out a gun. The entire street froze. One shot could change everything forever. Before anyone could react, a gunshot echoed through the night. Adrian turned in shock, but the bullet hadn't hit him. The masked man collapsed to the ground. Behind him stood another FBI sniper, who had been secretly protecting Adrian and Emma all along. As the chaos settled, the masked man's phone rang. Adrian picked it up, and the caller ID showed a name that made his heart stop. Daniel Brooks. Adrian answered without saying a word. A calm voice laughed on the other end. You're getting closer, but you're still one step behind me. Then Daniel whispered something Adrian would never forget. If you want the truth, come to the place where our story began. An hour later, Adrian and Emma arrived at the abandoned house where the Brooks family had once lived. Every memory hidden inside those walls was about to come back to life. The front door creaked open by itself. Dust filled the air. Every step echoed through the empty house, as if someone was already waiting for them. Then Emma noticed a framed family photograph on the fireplace. She picked it up and gasped. One face in the picture had been completely scratched out. On the back of the photograph, someone had written 6 chilling words in faded ink. The truth was buried beneath this house. Adrian dropped to his knees and pulled away the old wooden floorboards. Beneath them, he uncovered a rusted metal box that had been hidden for decades. His hands trembled as he opened the box. Inside were old letters, photographs, and one sealed envelope addressed only to him. With trembling hands, Adrian broke the seal. The letter began with 6 words that shattered everything he believed. Daniel was never your real brother. Emma looked at Adrian in disbelief. Before either of them could speak, the sound of slow clapping echoed from the darkness behind them. A man stepped into the light. It was Daniel Brooks, calm, smiling, as if he had been waiting for this moment his entire life. Daniel looked straight into Adrian's eyes and smiled. You came exactly as I knew you would. You've been chasing the truth, but the truth has been chasing you your entire life. Adrian clenched his fists. Why did you destroy my company? Why destroy my life? Daniel's smile slowly disappeared, and his answer left the room in complete silence. Daniel took one slow step forward and whispered, because none of this was ever yours. It was always meant to be mine. Before Adrian could respond, hidden speakers inside the house suddenly came to life. A familiar voice echoed through every room. The voice of Adrian's father, recorded 20 years ago. The recording revealed a secret no one was prepared to hear. If you're listening to this, it means one of my sons has betrayed the other. Adrian slowly turned toward Daniel, but Daniel was gone. The only thing left behind was a single note on the floor that read, "This is only the beginning."